Hey guys, it's Fear the Unknown here, and today I'm going to be bringing you my first ever actual scary stories video, and I'm going to be bringing you 3 scary stories, so just turn your brightness down, listen to it, relax, and hopefully these will send a chill down your spine, so please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye! This is a story from my babysitting days, around 5 years ago when I was 15 and desperate to save up for a car, despite not even having a learner's permit at this stage. I would babysit for family, and then family friends, and pretty soon word of mouth was getting me calls from people I'd never even met before. People want to hire a babysitter they know won't just sit from liquor bottles in the cupboard and invite their boyfriend or girlfriend over. I was a very patient teenager, so good with kids, and far too chicken shit to ever properly snoop around people's houses, rifling through the cupboards or bedside drawers. And I had only ever got drunk once and hated it so much it put me off alcohol for a good while. I was the ideal babysitter, in other words. So anyway, one Friday evening, I get this call from a couple who had heard about me from somebody they met someplace. I don't know. They asked me if I was available for Saturday night. Now, it was the school holidays, and I was available pretty much every night, every week. Most popular nights were Fridays and Saturdays for me. And even though I'd been planning a sleepover with friends that Sunday, I cancelled it in order to sit with this couple. The rate was $50 a night, but most parents were a bit drunk and very grateful when they came home from a night out, and pressed extra 10s and 20s into my hands insistently as I left. Mostly, they would drive me home, but sometimes my mum or dad would pick me up if the parents were drunk or the house was really far away from mine. This couple that were asking about Sunday said they would be out until very late and would pay upwards of hundreds of dollars for my service. They also offered to pick me up from home to get to their place, which was a good 40 miles away, and drive me home afterwards. Now, my dad has always insisted he would drive me to the house I was sitting at and come and meet the couple if they weren't people we knew well. Sunday was no different, so after telling the couple I'd be dropped off at their place by 6, I got set for the night. I never really bought homework, because back then I was a good little nerd and did it as soon as I got it. What I did bring was my book, The Secret History, a great read but slightly creepy, and a bag of Jaffas just in case there wasn't any nice food they had, even if they said eat what you want. So, we leave and my dad drops me off at this house, waits for the knock of the door on the little flat with the nice roses in the front garden, and then he drives off when it opens. So anyway, the old lady is standing there and she goes, "How can I help you?" And I told her that I was looking for babysitting. She looked at me, totally baffled, and then a man runs up to us out of nowhere, and he looked about 40 and quite good looking, kind of like a Alec Baldwin, but thinner and sharper and featured. "Sorry, my wife gave you the wrong address. Thank God I didn't miss you," he says, gesturing to his car. "Sorry, miss," he guessed the lady, and she goes inside like, what the fuck is going on? "We used to live here, and my wife always forgets our new address," he explains. Now, looking back, this was suspicious as fuck, and if I hadn't been so naive, I would have called my dad, and he would have noped it all the way back home. But he was sort of charming, and I was naive, so I got in the car. We drove for about 15 minutes, and he sort of asked about the general stuff, school, and that sort of thing. When we got inside the house, which is the nicest house I've ever seen, it was super modern and had an amazing garden. The wife, who was thin and really pretty, was outside waving. She apologises and comes with the same story, blah blah blah, whatever. And we go inside. "Our little angel is asleep upstairs," she goes. "Please don't wake her. Just stay down here unless she cries. She's a very light sleeper, you see, so we'll be very upset if you wake her. We'll be up till dawn." "Really? Is that the case?" she said. And I was nervous because the house was nice and they all looked rich. Well, sort of a well-groomed maybe. And I was in here with my grubby runners and messy hair and a ponytail. They were very well dressed up. And after showing me the living room, where bowls of chips and lollies were sitting out, they left, after once telling me not to wake their daughter in any circumstances. Now, I found it strange that they hadn't introduced me to the child, mostly because the kids were always awake when I got there, and we played and watched television until way past their bedtime, and then they fell asleep full of pizza and asking me to tell them another story. The only other proper baby I had sat for slept most of the time, but the parents, my mum's cousin and partner, told me to check on her a few times and change her nappy when she needed. Lollies was something I only ate as a last resort. I had my back of Jaffas, so I didn't touch to see what was in there. I decided to read because I could not work their ridiculously large television. But something in the darkness and silence of the house left me feeling a little edgy. I began to see if there was anything else to eat, and I went looking in the kitchen, which I eventually found the shiny metal fridge completely empty aside from a carton of milk, and the cupboards were also very empty, so there were no bottles of milk or jars of baby food I could see. Freezing cold and seriously considering ordering takeaways, I began walking around the house in search of a heater. The house was very dark, and most of the doors were locked, which wasn't uncommon, though mostly people just locked their bedroom door, in case of a messy storeroom or something. I decided the heater was probably upstairs. Now on that note, I hadn't heard a peep from upstairs, so I started to get very anxious because what if something was wrong with the baby? I always checked upon whoever I was babysitting, as a rule, about every 20 minutes. So, I made the decision to go upstairs. First weird thing was there was a fucking child gate, or whatever it's called, blocking them off, so I had to climb over that. I wondered why they needed that if they had a baby, because, babies can't walk. I walked up and it was pitch black up there. I tried a door, locked. I tried another door, locked. All the fucking doors were locked. Now, who locks an infant in a room like that? I started to panic and sort of realised there was something very wrong about the whole thing. I decided to call my dad to come and wait with me. So, I went to call him and realised the address he had was the one of the old lady, their old address. And I realised in the moment that they didn't want my dad to know where they really lived. I started panicking and sort of just froze in the dark hallway. I walked downstairs and climbed over the gate as quickly and quietly as I could. My heart was pounding at this point, so I walked to the front door. And then, I tried it, but it had been deadlocked. I walked through the house to the back door, and again, it was deadlocked. I was trapped in this fucking house. I could have called the police, but I had no address to give them, and I was starting to feel like maybe I wasn't alone in the house. With shaking hands, I went into the living room, packed my stuff into my backpack, and just sat on the edge of the couch wondering what to do. I decided to try a window or something, so I did. I tried every window, and all of them were locked. At this point, I swore I heard a noise from outside. I told myself I was just being paranoid. I thought about how bad it would look if I left the baby and just ran off, but I didn't feel safe, and I felt like I was just going to die. So, I was standing in the living room wondering what the fuck to do when I heard a fake clicking sound. The sound of a door being unlocked, the back door. I just froze, ringing in my ears, liquid stomach. I heard footsteps walking slowly through the house. I crept shakily into the dark kitchen and then through to the laundry. I crawled into one of those big cupboards next to the washing machine and sat there trying to control my breathing and trying not to be sick. I heard the footsteps walking through the house and muffled voices. When the footsteps reached the laundry and stopped, I thought my heart was going to pound through my chest. "She must be upstairs," the man's voice said, and I heard footsteps walk away. I'm sure the wife would be waiting outside the cupboard with the kitchen knife, but I opened it anyway, and she wasn't. Just my luck. I heard them walking upstairs and crept quickly through the house. I opened the back door and ran, hearing it slam behind me, and I knew they would be after me. I didn't even look back. I just ran through the front garden and down the driveway and climbed over the gate as quickly as I could, but it scraped up all my legs. But that didn't stop me. Adrenaline works wonders on me even when I was a fairly unfit teenager. When I got to the nearest main road, I called my dad hysterical. Every time a car drove past, I ducked into the yard or under a tree because I was sure it was them. When my dad arrived, I told him the story, and I've never seen him go so white like a sheet. We went to the police and told them everything. but I hadn't even stopped to look at the street name when I was running away, so I had nothing to give them other than the description of the house, and both of them, and their very fake names. They did never track the couple either, even though they had drove me around the suburb for hours trying to help me remember the name of the house and where they lived. I couldn't. I'd been too scared, and it had been too dark. How I wish I would have been more observant. What scared me the most is that they had my phone number, and unsurprisingly, I never got a call from them again, as I had changed my number from that day, and had never babysat since. Well, I say I never heard from them, but now I think about it, there was one call a few months ago actually, from an unknown number of course. When I picked up the phone, all I heard was a baby crying on the other end, but not a real baby, a fake cry from like one of those dolls that you buy from the supermarket. I guess I'm hoping it was just some prank caller messing with me. Story number 2. This story was given to me by my dad's mate, and it was set about 20 years ago, back in the 1990s. So, my dad's friend is what's called a neighbourhood police officer. You know, one of those people that walks around your local area and makes arrests. Anyway, he was soon his shift at around 1 o'clock in the morning on a dark winter night and happened to notice a man standing in the doorway of an old bakery. So thinking this was very odd, the police officer walked over to the man and asked him what he was doing. The man responded, "Just getting a breath of fresh air, to be honest, mate." And the police officer, very confused, asked him, "What, this time? Again?" The man responded, "Yes." The police officer then asked him some general questions such as, "What's your name? How old are you? And what are you doing in the doorway at this time?" He found out that the man was 30 and called John, and that he owned the bakery. So, as he had to head off, he said bye without any questions. Later on that day, he was finishing his last loop around the village and noticed that a man was opening up the bakery, and he decided to walk over to the man and ask him if he knew the guy that was standing there earlier that morning. And he gave a detailed description. The man that was opening up the bakery responded, "Yes, I did, but he died about 4 years ago, so I don't really know why you're asking me that question." The police officer then responded, "Wait, what? He's dead? But I had a full conversation with him last night." It then hit him that he'd been talking to a dead man, a ghost even, and it sent a shiver down his spine. Story number 3. So, there's a guy in my closet I'd like to not meet again, but I'll start at the beginning and we can go from there. This is the first time I came face to face with this strange man, and it was about 7 years ago. It was a normal summer day. Now, bear this in mind, I didn't have a terrible childhood, but I didn't have a great one either. My mother was always struggling to make ends meet, and we lived in a really crappy 2-bedroom house. It was my mother, her boyfriend, my 2 younger brothers, and myself. My mother worked nights, and so did her boyfriend, so it was up to me to watch my 2 brothers in the evenings. It was just like any normal summer day at first. My friends and I hung out during the day, walked around our small town, enjoying the warm weather. Now, for it being a small town, there was plenty to do. Walk through the woods, go down to the park, all the typical kid things. We decided to waste time at the park until I had to go home to watch my brothers. It was all the normal boring stuff. We walked around, played with the basketball so one left behind, and sat on the swings and talked about our lives and what we were going to do when we were older. It was nearing about 3 PM, and we noticed a guy sitting on a bench by the basketball court. Now, it was nearing time for me to get home anyways, and as the man was giving me and both my friends an odd vibe, we decided to leave a bit earlier. As we neared the main street, which my house also happened to be on, we parted ways. I get home, my mother lets us know if there was any leftovers for the boys and myself, then is on her way to work. We spend most of the day indoors, watching TV or playing video games, and around 7:30 PM my brothers wanted to go outside and ride their bikes. It's getting dark now, so I agree. They ride their bikes for about half an hour, and I'm sitting on the curb looking at my phone, texting my friends about how I'm bored I am, when my youngest brother, who must have been 7 at the time, comes up to me and points over to our house. I look in just in time to see a man walk inside. I immediately tell my brothers not to worry and continue ride their bikes. As I call my brother and let her know what just happened, she calls the police and they show up within 5 minutes, seeing as the police station is just a couple of blocks away in a small town. They do a full search of the house but find nothing. They speak to my mother on the phone, tell her there's nothing there and it must have just been our imagination. Tentatively, my brothers and I go back to the house, so I sit down with them and turn on the TV. Time flies as I look up and it's already 9:30 PM. I've really got to get them to bed soon. I head upstairs and go into our closet. 3 of us share one bedroom, so all of our clothes are stuck in the closet. I turn on the closet light and start digging through a pile of clothes on the floor that we never got around to putting away. I hear a noise that sounds like a deep breath. Thinking it might just be my imagination, I continue to pull the pyjamas out for my brothers. I grab the PJs and go to pull the string that turns off the light, and out the corner of my eye, I see a movement. I look over and see a face peering out of a large pile of clothes. The man was hiding under our clothes in the closet. He made a sudden movement and I book it. I just take off running. I can hear him struggling to get out of the clothes. I don't stop running down the hallway, down the stairs, knocking anything over in my process to hope it will slow him down. I burst into the living room and grab my 2 brothers with my arms, practically pulling them out of their sockets in my attempt to drag them out of the house. We were outside about 3 blocks away before I quit dragging them behind me and reached my phone and called the police, but it's not in my pocket. I left it on the couch, so we hoof it. I dragged my brothers behind me in the middle of the night. They're so tired, they don't even know what happened, and I won't tell them. They don't need to know. They would never want to go in their closet ever again. I get to the police station and they call our mother. They drive us home and she leaves work early. They do another full search, but once more find nothing but the mess I made in my attempt to leave. No evidence, nothing, so they basically told me to stop wasting their time and they left. My mother said she believed me, but of course I knew it was just something she'd say to console me. She says I can stay the night at friends if I can get hold of someone, just to make me feel better. We all go inside. My mum sends my brothers to go and get cleaned up for bed. I walk over to the couch where I left my phone. It wasn't there though. It's just on the floor, smashed to pieces, very obviously smashed by a hammer, seeing as it's the hammer that is sitting right next to it. I call my mother over and show the mess of the phone. She walks over to the storage cabinet and pulls it down to the only toolbox she has. She opens it and our hammer is still inside. I didn't realise what it meant at the time, but now I think about it again. The man was in my home, in my closet, in my room, with a hammer, just waiting and hoping for my younger brothers to fall asleep. Let's not meet again, please. There it is, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Please be sure to drop a like, comment and subscribe if you want to see more. And yeah, hope you've enjoyed. Hope it gave you a little chill. Right, bye.